What problem is often overlooked in apocalyptic movies/TV shows that could kill you? As bad as the show Revolution's overall plotting and pacing was, they generally did a good job of thinking about these kinds of little inconsistencies. There's a minor character who was a doomsday prepper before the apocalypse, but he didn't stock up enough on antibiotics. As a result, his daughter died of tetanus that he was unable to treat. A warlord kidnaps prisoners for blood because his wife has diabetes and needs constant transfusions of blood with sufficient insulin in it to survive. There's a doctor who keeps a collection of moldy fruit to harvest penicillium mold from it and make penicillin. Some characters try to go into an old subway tunnel, but nearly die because of lack of sufficient airflow down there without modern HVAC systems. Those of us with shitty eyesight. Contacts only last so long. If your glasses break, you're ducked. Like the guy in Twilight Zone who just wanted time to read. It's not fair. Wait, my eyes aren't that bad, I could still read the large print books. Eyes fall out of AUUG. Well, luckily I can read Braille. Hands fall off. Cursed by his own hubris. The scary door. Turns out it's man. Why should I believe you? You're Hitler. Clean drinking water. I don't think people really appreciate how much water is needed for a group of people to survive. Clean bullet holes. Next episode everyone is A-OK half the time, and off to murder more zombies before cannibalizing the next group. Your shirt alone would be filthy enough to cause mild chafing, which in turn would cause infection. But everyone's whites are whiter than mine, and bullet holes and axe wounds heal up just fine with our state-of-the-art medical facility and dry cleaning services. To add to this, in movies and TV, if the protagonist is shot in the leg or shoulder, you know they're going to live. There are major arteries in both locations which can very easily lead to death by hemorrhage. Also, movies and TV are always fixated on getting the bullet out immediately, which can actually turn a relatively stable situation into a bleed out. The best part about this trope is the little metal bowl they always have to toss the bullet into with a satisfying little clink. No matter where it is, when it is, or who it is performing the bulletectomy, they always have that special little bowl, always shiny clean metal, somewhere within arm's reach. I get so giddy every time the bullet removal scenes start. I'm all, where's the bowl? When do we get to see the bowl? I want to see that mother ducking bullet roll around that motherfucking bowl. I can't wait to hear that satisfying clink. And the camera never fails to focus on the bowl for this exciting moment. It's a bullet. You've given birth to a healthy baby bullet. God, I hate tropes. I hate even more the fact that some otherwise really good films written and directed by really talented people embrace such silly traditions. Just why? See also, guns that click loudly every time you look at them or touch them or move them, and also guns that make their victims fly across the room. Admittedly, those last two don't even really gel with reality, the very last one even breaking physics. In defense of the shiny metal bullet bowl clink. At least that one is just sort of absurd in a harmless way. Doesn't really defy reality, just believability and coincidence. Diarrhea. So many things can cause it, and it used to be, well, still is in the least developed countries, quite lethal, mostly for babies and children. I have minor IBS, so I poop when I'm stressed. I'm a goner. Wait, stress shitting is a symptom of IBS? I thought everyone just had that. IBS can be caused by stress, but stress pooping is not IBS. Ah, my old nemesis, rectangles versus parallelograms. They never talk about optometry. What am I going to do if my glasses break in the apocalypse? I'm ducked. I can't see shit without these. They won't last me forever. I feel like Stephen King addressed this a bit in the expanded version of The Stand. People who survive the plague, like 0.001% of the people on Earth, but manage to die because of an infection, or suicide, or getting too drunk and falling into the pool. I think it would be the little, random things that might be cause for an urgent care visit currently, but could turn potentially deadly very quickly. I've only read one post-apocalypse series where the author addressed pests. In the series, most of the world dies from a plague, so there are millions of dead bodies everywhere. Which leads to rats and ants experiencing a catastrophic population boom. They watch a group go to enter a house, only for a tidal wave of rats to flood out and overwhelm them as they try to run away. They need medical supplies, so they go to the hospital and have to wear basically spacesuits because of the trillions of ants that are in there cleaning up the piles of dead bodies. For those asking, The series is called Viral Misery by Thomas A. Watson. Yep, most apocalyptic media totally fails to account for the massive amounts of dead stuff. Stephen King did touch on this in The Stand though. When they start living in Boulder, their first task is clearing out all the old rotted bodies to prevent disease. I thought that was an interesting detail. Yeah, and one of Larry's major reasons for wanting to leave New York is because it's New York in July. Yuck. Natural disasters. You'd have no ducking clue if a hurricane, flash flood, typhoon, monsoon, or other Sharknado events were coming. I didn't even know what to do when my fridge broke. I just moved. Classic Shellstrop move. PO bodies nerfed. Everyone always seems to know where to go. If it were me, I'd die because I can't find my way back to base or something. I always assumed directionally challenged people like me already died. Like running for the door and smacking into a wall, followed by the zombies eating you? Nah, the zombies realize there's nothing in you to eat after seeing that and decide to mercy kill. Snoring, 100%. I think about this all the time. Anyone who snores after the zombies come must be exiled. But most will die quickly. I wonder about this in wars. My ex-BF was a Marine and he snored. He never had a combat's deployment or anything, but it made me wonder about the guys who snore and get a combat deployment. What if they're in the field and not at base camp? So yes, this is a thing. My Nana's brothers, my great-great-uncle, all fought in World War II. One of them was paired up with another soldier in a foxhole and alternating sleep shifts. His partner snored so goddamn bad he was sure this guy was gonna give their location away. He said he hated to do it, but he reported him in the morning and by the next evening he was gone. No word on where he went, but it was understood they couldn't have that kind of liability. Best medical dismissal ever. Fake snoring strategy pays off again. I mean, unless it backfires and gets you found and killed by your enemy, right? You win some, you lose some. Footwear. Wrong footwear, damaged footwear, lack of socks, wet feet, open wounds. Once your feet are screwed, so is the rest of you. Minor injuries, lack of hygiene. Infection. Even though it was riddled with problems to focus on, when Game of Thrones was happening, I remember being really bothered by the scene where Arya Stark gets stabbed about 10 times in the gut and falls into a river. Not only did they downplay the mortal wounds to her abdomen, the subsequent infection would have destroyed her. Especially given in the first season they actually made a point of Khal Drogo dying from an infected scratch that wasn't treated properly. I thought maybe the witch that treated him deliberately made sure the wound got infected. Like mixing dog shit with herbs and pretending it was healing paste. There is a distinct lack of worry about clean water. Also, in almost every conflict in history, disease has killed more people than the actual war. You rarely see a flu wipe out half of the people in a zombie movie, but honestly, it would. The Walking Dead actually had a whole part about them all getting sick with Spanish flu, I think. Their pigs were infected, which spread to the humans. They had to kill all of them and lose a lot of food too. Considering how I had to take my fiancée to the this morning because of what should have been a minor UTI that traveled to her kidneys. And UTIs can be so easy to get too. It'd be so much worse if you don't have access to proper hygiene things. Gasoline has a shorter shelf life than is portrayed in these movie-esque shows, so after a year nobody would really be driving anywhere. It wouldn't necessarily kill you, but it's one of those things that bothers me because it's never really addressed. Mad Max addressed this and made it a plot device. The need for new gas is the premise of Road Warrior. As someone who had a severe hemorrhage, appendicitis, a severe infection and an emergency wisdom tooth extraction in the last 11 months alone, I'd be dead within days. Edit, I also caught COVID whilst in the hospital and ended up admitted to the COVID ward. This one particularly stung as it meant absolutely zero visitors and I just had a baby that I was still breastfeeding and I couldn't get to her for a week. She was a trooper though, as was Daddy. I guess the giving birth would have been the thing that got me in this scenario.